Well, thank you so much to viewers now and future viewers for attending. We appreciate you guys' time. My name is Lamine Gay. I'm an e-learning coach here at Hillsborough Education Foundation. And today we will all be talking about this idea of cyber safety. And so our presentation is titled Safe and Sound, Navigating the Net in 2021. Delving into topics around cyber safety, especially children and the internet. And so we hope that it is really beneficial to you all. So first off, what is cyberspace? Big kind of concept. There was a show called Cyber Chase when I was a kid, kind of really delving into that. Cyberspace, social, economic, and intellectual world created and sustained by the internet. So actually, believe it or not, there's a real world out here, a tangible world where you can pick up things and touch things and everything. But you also have cyberspace, which draws from this real world and then kind of creates an alternate reality. And to that point, a lot of tasks that were formerly only done in person, such as going to the bank, shopping for groceries, watching movies, dating, all these other things, now they can be done online. And so we have transformed the way in which we interact with the world, with the different elements within the world, and that's through cyberspace. So it's been pretty interesting this past couple of years. So now, faster, better, stronger. What is this talking about? There's some people who are really big proponents supporting the internet, and some who are really kind of leery about the drawbacks of it. Those who support cyberspace and usage of the internet say it saves time and money, increases access to information and discourse, and facilitates creativity. And just to delve into that a little bit, to each of those points, you can imagine having to go to the post office. Let's say if you live 3 buses away from your nearest post office, or you have to go grocery shopping, you have to plan how you're going to get there. Now you can send an email, pay bills online, you can shop with different food processing companies. And so it's really efficient in that way. And the other thing about increasing access to information and discourse, which is pretty interesting, before you had to be wealthy or have very, very rare opportunities to go and get higher education, get PhDs in order to access a lot of knowledge. Now, even if you haven't graduated from high school, you can be very learned simply by accessing the different information that's out there on the internet. Now, of course, you have to vet that information. You have to see whether it's valid or not, check your sources. But the fact remains that internet gives us a lot of opportunity to increase the amount of knowledge we know. And lastly, on that creativity portion, with so much knowledge, with so many different people pouring into the internet, people have become much more creative. That's what some people who support the internet say. You draw from all these sources, and all of a sudden you have new innovative ideas coming out. And so those are the pros to the internet. The cons, this is something that is kind of near and dear to me. Don't let me sway you, but this is something that I've kind of not really a fan of. It less face-to-face interaction. We've seen the benefits of being able to hold classes for young people and old people alike on the internet, and hold seminars and everything without meeting in person. But there's something that is lost when you're not able to see somebody face to face. Body language, that sense of like comfort, it can be hard to read through a camera. And so that can be a con, particularly when people choose that mode rather than or in place of meeting up in person. Less control of personal information. In order to do a lot of the stuff that you would formerly do in person, you need to give more different elements of identification. So social security number, checking or routing number, address. These are things that you have to give in order to partake in some of the services that are done online. And so you have less control of this information you're giving out. And then with that, there's an uncertainty of individuals' identity. For the most part, I think it's safe when we interact with big corporations that don't want to take a chance on losing customers, Chase Bank, or I don't know, maybe Nike, if you're into shopping for clothes. If you give them your information to purchase something, they're really taking all measures to ensure that your information is safe. But there's sometimes where people can breach that security and you can really be talking to somebody who's up to no good. So those are just some of the cons from the internet. So now making it more personal and more specific, we're talking about cyber safety and you as a parent, and also thinking about you and your child. So first, defining cyber safety. What does that even mean? It's defined as the safe practices utilized to prevent personal attacks or criminal activity while using the internet. Just like being safe in real life, there's certain things you want to do, lock your doors, don't talk to people you're uncertain of. Same deal on the internet. There are different practices that you can put into place in order to be safe and protect the things that you value while using the internet. So just to kind of give an example of why cyber safety is important, I brought up in the next slide, these current issues or a current issue. Since the pandemic has started, obviously there are more people working from home. With that, people who are hackers, people who are up to no good trying to get people's information via the internet, they've been increasingly successful simply because there's a larger pool of people for them to prey on. And so the FBI actually has some data that I researched recently saying that from 2020 to 2021, the instances of identity theft via the internet are projected to more than double. And so it just goes to show that we really are at risk with this increased usage of the internet in cyberspace. And so that means that we really got to take precaution and be aware of what are some really important things for us and our kids as they begin to use the internet to put into place to be safe. So here's some quick tips. Before we get into the practicals, I think it's really important for us to just have a prepared mindset. What are our minds like going into using the internet? And that helps employing the practical tips even easier. So the first thing is just starting early. I think as soon as we start having kids using devices, whatever age they are, it's important to talk to them about how to behave online and how to be safe and secure online. It's sort of like when you take your kids to school for the first time, they've never been to first grade or they've never been to pre-K. And so they don't know what to do. They don't know not to like bite somebody or and not to like eat paste or whatever. This is new. They don't have any references. The same thing, the first time that they use the internet is brand new to them. So they're unaware of the potential dangers. So it's important to just start early in terms of talking to them. With that, it's so important to also be open, to create an honest, open environment. We have some wonderful parents and families that we've served in the past. And one of the things that's been endearing is just how parents are able to communicate with their kids and make them feel valued, regardless of whatever they're experiencing. And so most conversations on a variety of topics tend to go well when you adopt that stance. And that's including conversations on how to behave online. So creating that honest, open environment is also very important. So in terms of having conversations, we know that it's important to be open and honest and to start early, but it's also important to initiate. You know, sometimes kids and even adults have things on their mind, but they're not necessarily ready to share, or they're uncertain about how what they're about to share or want to share would be received. So it's very helpful and it puts children at ease, it puts people at ease to initiate conversation. So using everyday opportunities to talk to your kids about what's going on in their digital lives are great. If you see something on the TV that has to do with cyberspace, you can prompt them with a question. How's it going surfing the internet? What sites do you like to use? And that will draw them out and make them feel comfortable engaging with you regularly. Share your values is near and dear to my heart. All kids draw from their parents in some way or another, and they can, draw good things as well as bad. And I think that when we share the values that we hold dear to us, that allows our kids to be able to make sound decisions in general, as well as while online. So when you, whether it's explicitly talk to your child about things that you value as a family, whether it's honesty, integrity, um, gratitude, whatever it is. Those are the things that they can use as their benchmark to say, how should I behave in this situation online? And also, kids watch as well as listen. They watch how we behave. It's not simply the things we say, but what do we do? And so, if our actions match our behavior and they're informed by very good values, our kids are definitely going to be prepared to make sound decisions while they're using the internet. Lastly, it's stay the course. This is Mindy's turn, and Mindy, you can definitely jump in here and talk a little bit about what this means. She did a great job just explaining to me, parent herself, so there's a lot of wisdom.
Yeah, I think it's just important that you kind of have multiple conversations. You address it at different points, especially as they're growing, because when they're in the digital space, it'll grow as they get older. So, and sometimes you have to have the conversation over and over again in different ways so that they really understand the impact of, nowadays being in the digital space is very important. And we want to make sure that they're creating a good solid digital footprint, so when they're moving forward in school and in after school and into the workforce, we just want to make sure that they really understand what they're creating.
Yep, excellent job. Yeah, I think that's really what it's about. Like, do they have an idea of the legacy they're kind of making for themselves? And it just comes through consistent conversation. So now we're transitioning to more tangible tips. Now that we have the mindset of how can we approach talking to our kids about online safety, what are the practical things that they can do? The first is just being aware. And the next slide will kind of get into that a little bit more. For parents, it's important to familiarize ourselves with websites and applications that our children visit or use while online. Are we aware of where they're going? What kind of sites are they visiting? What are the sites for? And also being aware means knowing who our children are interacting with while they're online. Just that simple thing, it sounds really easy, but just knowing where they're going can give you an idea of what are the things that are being poured into them. And then that can even inform ways that they feel around the internet because you know where they've been visiting, the sites they've been frequenting. So being aware is very important. Secondly, post carefully. It's so funny as I'm reading this, it's like a totally different world than when I was 6 or 7. There was no idea about posting, but now this is the way in which they interact. This is their playground. This is their lunchroom table. So posting carefully is super important. Advising our kids not to share personal information while they post, their location, their password, or making inappropriate comments. I like this quote here. It's really solid. Once it's posted, it cannot be taken back. And it's literal because the kind of technology that people have nowadays is so sophisticated where even if we delete things and we think it's gone, it can always be recovered by somebody. And so it's so important that that digital footprint that Mindy talked about is one that is made with wisdom. And it's a footprint made by a step in the right direction rather than the wrong direction. So whatever they do on the internet, it should be done with wisdom. And that comes from us talking with our kids. So advising them to post carefully is super important. Protecting identity. Yes, this is very, very crucial. So with this, the great thing about a lot of applications or websites, and even the physical computer itself, the operating system, is it comes with a lot of configurations so that we can maintain a sense of privacy, not just a sense, but actual privacy. So making sure our kids, whenever they use whatever sites they're using, set their privacy settings so that they can restrict the people that can view their profile or follow it or see what they're posting is super important. The public setting just kind of allows anybody to engage with your child, whether it's directly or whether they're from afar. And so adjusting the privacy settings is super great. It's a wonderful tool. It's a simple tool, simply to just enable them to talk to the people that they know. And we're going to get into that in the next slide, if not the last slide. no new friends. So this one is like a phrase. I think anybody born 2000 and on like would probably know this. I think it was like a name of a song or something. No new friends. I don't know. I'm like outdated by now. So, but no new friends is you can hit the next slide. It's just talking about honestly who are we interacting with. Sometimes, unfortunately, people who are again just have ill will towards folks who are just trying to enjoy the internet will be imposters. They'll be deceptive in terms of their identity. And so instructing our kids to limit their online interactions to the people that they actually know is super beneficial. And also deleting messages and requests from strangers, not even entertaining it. That's something that is really helpful for kids to have at the forefront of their mind whenever they engage with people on the internet. Lastly, is watching for their uncomfortable behavior. This is a more like kind of subtle point, but it's also very important. So sometimes kids, they won't say anything, but they'll start acting a little bit differently, whether they're on the actual computer or maybe just in the home. And if you probe that and you say, well, how are you feeling? What's going on? And ask about their online behavior and online interactions, you may discover that they've been having some tough times or some challenges, some obstacles in terms of people that are trying to uh, interfere with their time and harm them and threaten them. And so asking our kids if they've received any strange emails or posts or texts or messages is super important. And also going back to like creating that safe space, encouraging our kids to alert us if they ever do, even if they're not, even if they say, no, I just, had a tough day at school today. It has nothing to do with the computer, letting them know that, hey, if anything ever does happen, like you can come and talk to me. I'm not gonna, feel weird or anything like that. Like I'm here to support you. So it's really important to just watch for the little behaviors that our kids exhibit. And going with that, we just want to talk about cyberbullying for a little bit and define it. Just like bullying in real life, it's using the internet to make a person feel intimidated or threatened, typically by sending messages. And so this is a really important part of like uncomfortable behavior. Oftentimes, kids nowadays they'll use whatever avenues that are available to them to bully, to make people feel uncomfortable. And unfortunately, it's a part of like growing up and socializing. And so, how do we teach our children to be aware that this happens? Is defining the term in the first place for them, asking them, do they know what cyberbullying is? And then, asking regularly, like, how's things going? Like, what's your internet life like? You can hit that next slide. Yeah. So with that, standing up against cyberbullying, and parents, they have different styles of parenting. You can use your discretion, but certainly we encourage children to come to us if they ever witnessed cyberbullying, and to refrain from engaging in any type of cyberbullying themselves. So this was kind of really quick and rapid. Definitely leaves time to ponder on some of the things that we shared, and we hope that it was encouraging. But we just want to close with a few thoughts. The internet, it's great. Everybody loves the internet. You can't live without the internet nowadays in 2021. It connects people near and far, helps us develop solutions for some of the biggest issues that we face on the earth. With that said, as we've reviewed here, there's some potential dangers. But if you practice cyber safety, it's really helpful to reduce those dangers and the damage that those dangers can bring. And I think Mindy kind of helped me to see this yesterday as we were reviewing the PowerPoint. Just having open and honest conversations and conversations after conversations, engaging with our kids continuously so that it's normalized, the fact that we talk. And then being aware, which those conversations will help us to be aware of what our kids are doing online. That is really what enables cyberspace to be less of like a frightening place, frightening endeavor, and more of a place that can be enjoyed and a place in which we can have fun. So as always, we here at HEF are just happy to encourage the parents and the families, the kids that we serve with not just tangible resources, but resources like this that will provide some insight on how to use the internet, how to engage as digital learners in a safe and productive manner. And we are here to help in any way, shape, or form. I can speak for our team. We're really just a great group of people that want to help kids succeed. So um, with that, for those who have watched virtually, thank you guys for your time. And you can always feel free to reach out.